he named his last son Narayana. And he would always say, Narayana, come here. Narayana, there's some food for you. Narayana, let's go for a walk. So he was saying the name of Narayana without a material purpose. One time in one temple that I was managing, one married man had an illicit affair with another woman, a married woman. And when we interviewed him, asked him why you did this, he said, well, people make mistakes, but I know how to chant Hare Krishna. So we were a little surprised by that answer. So we asked him, what do you mean by that? He said, oh, well, I might have committed a sinful act, but I can chant Hare Krishna and nullify it. I said, that is exactly the seventh offense against the holy name. To commit sinful acts on the strength of chanting the holy name. I said, that's a very, very serious offense. In fact, in this lecture, Prabhupada says it's the greatest offense. To try and nullify sins on the strength of chanting the holy name. In other words, one commits sin knowingly. There's a difference. Apichet sudaracharo bhajanti mam ananyabhak sadureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisaha. One may commit sinful activities, but due to previous bad training, it can be accidental due to putting oneself in bad association. If one continues devotional service under the tutelage of a rightfully situated devotee or devotees and continues in devotional service, it's forgiven. But Prabhupada says, do not take advantage of this. It is not an excuse to sin and be forgiven, and sin and be forgiven, and sin and be forgiven. It's only due to an accidental fall down, due to some weakness. But it's not an excuse to sin and seek forgiveness. So this is an important point that we should remember. In the case of Ajamil, he did not purposely commit sins and then use the holy name to purify them. He was committing sins, yes, but he didn't know about the holy name. So he didn't try and purify anything. But he kept saying the name of Narayana because it was his son without any material purpose. And at the end of life, he was calling his son, again, not even meaning Narayana, but he was saying the name without a material purpose. Therefore, the name acted. It acted throughout his latter life, and it acted at the moment of death, and he became purified. Now, the Yamadutas came to take him because he had committed many sins. That was exterior, external. They didn't understand that internally he had become purified by repeating the name of Narayana without selfish purpose intended. So the Vishnu Dutas pointed this out to them, but they had never heard this before. So they approached their guru, Yamaraj, and they asked him, is this true? And Yamaraj said, yes, it is. Because the holy name is so powerful that if you say it once sincerely, it can purify more sins than you can commit in millions of lifetimes. How powerful it is. And because Ajamil didn't know that, but he simply repeated it without a purpose, the holy name acted. Parthasarati ki jai, Balarama ki jai. So namno baladyasya hi papa buddhi. The greatest offense is to try and counteract sinful activities or commit sinful activities and then try and chant to purify them. This is offensive. But as we see, Ajamil, although he committed sinful activities, he didn't try to counteract it. Therefore, his chanting was effective when he did chant the name of Krishna or Narayana. Okay, so when a devotee chants Hare Krishna sincerely, without material motive, it attracts the attention of Krishna. The Supreme Lord thinks, oh, my devotee is chanting my holy name. Because this person is chanting and sincerely, therefore my duty is to give him protection. That's the way Krishna thinks. My duty is to give him protection. And what is that protection? Mahatmanas tamam partha daivim pakritim asritaha bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. Those who are not deluded, the great souls who are under the protection of my daivim pakritim, my transcendental energy. Oh, okay. So what? They are fully engaged in devotional service, and because that they know me to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, eternal and inexhaustible, original and inexhaustible. Just like Arjuna tells Krishna, Param Brahma Param Bhava Pavitram Paramam Divyam Purusham Sasvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhu. So he says, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you're the supreme destination for all devotees, you are transcendentally situated above all influence of the three modes of material nature and contamination. You are never born. You are the greatest person. So Arjuna has a clear idea who Krishna is. And because of that, he engages in the devotional service of the Lord. And then, what is the devotional service of the Lord? Satatam kirtayanto mam jatantascha dritavata namasyantas tamam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. My devotees, Krishna says, are always chanting my names with great determination. And they are bowing down before me. And these are great souls who perpetually worship me. So these are the symptoms of people who understand who Krishna is. And the primary system is they continue devotional service with determination in the association of good devotees, and they're always chanting Hare Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pavartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Krishna says, I am the source of everything material and spiritual, and those persons who know this engage my devotional service. So this chanting Hare Krishna is different than performing Vedic ritualistic activities. Vedic ritualistic activities are recommended for vishayis, for sense gratifiers, because they can get some temporary relief from the volumes of sins that they have committed by engaging in different sacrifices like Satyanarayana Puja or others. However, it doesn't purify the desire to sin. There's a difference between purifying the sins and purifying the desire to sin. However, when one chants Hare Krishna, it purifies the sins and it gives a person knowledge of who Krishna is. And this knowledge is so powerful that it actually purifies the desire to sin. Janma karma chame divyam evam yuveti tatvata tyakvadeham punarjanma naitimam eti sarjana. Krishna says, anyone who knows the wonderful and mysterious nature of my appearance and my activities, janma and karma, does not, when they come to death, take birth again, but come back to me. So this knowledge of Krishna is so powerful that it can save a person from repeated birth and death. There's nothing else that can do that. Karmani nirdahintu kantu chabakti bhajam. In the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma explains that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead can free someone from their previous karma completely. And when one is freed, yesam twantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam tejvandra mohanirmukta bhajante mam dritavataha. One who has acted piously in this life and in previous lives and is engaged in devotional service, they can take the devotional service with determination, dritavrat. So, therefore, it is extremely important to chant Hare Krishna. It's extremely important to learn about the glories of the holy name. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagnir namapanam shairakkai ravyachandrika vitam vidyabudam jivanam anandam buddhivardamam pratipadam pranam vitasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate. Shri Krishna chant. Kirtanam. So this holy name of Krishna is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the transcendental mercy of the Lord, and it frees one from the cycle of birth and death, and the life of all transcendental knowledge. It is full of transcendental bliss, and it is the nectar for which we are always yearning. So this learning about the glories of the holy name, chanting the holy name to please Krishna. Krishna has ears, just like you and I have ears. So when we chant, it's to please the Lord. It's not to please ourselves. Just like, let's say someone has a friend. Let's say you have a friend, right? What is your name? Huh? Gorilal. So if your friend says, Gorilal, come here. How does that sound? You like that? Yes? No. But let's say you go home and you see your grandmother and she says, Gorilal, Ai, jo khao prasad hai. How does that sound? Sound nice? So when we chant for Krishna, that bhava of affection for Krishna should be in our voice and should be in our mind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we should say the words clearly, and we should say with emotion, right? Please Krishna, keep me engaged always in your service. Aslisyava padaratam panastamam adarsanam marmahatu karotuva yata tatava vidadatu lakmato natastu sevanapara. My dear Lord, you're completely free to do anything and everything. You can crush me by your embrace, or you can ignore me by staying away from me. You're free to do anything you want, but I will always remain your servant unconditionally. I have no conditions. You do this for me, I'll do that for you. So that's the life of a devotee. That's what happens when you actually chant sincerely and you hear about the glories of the holy name and you associate with sincere devotees. You don't want anything from Krishna. Only thing, Tandira Charanase Bhakta Sanivas, Janame Janami Hoy E Abilas. Let me always take birth after birth, but in the association of devotees. See? So therefore, Lord Chaitanya says, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam Va, Jagadisha Kamare, Mama Janmani Janmanisware, Bhavatad Bhaktira Haituki Twayi. I don't want any amount of wealth. I don't want any amount of followers or a big family, a lot of sons. I don't want to victimize anyone for my sense gratification. All I want is to remain engaged in your service, Krishna, birth after birth, meaning I don't want liberation either. So these are the thoughts that enter into the mind of devotees when they chant sincerely. Therefore, Krishna says, or Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit, Shinvata swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantaksto hyabadrani vidunoti srihit sadam. He says, I, dwelling in the hearts of the devotees, when I hear the sincere desire and I see the sincere desire of the devotee to hear about me and chant about me, I from their heart purify them so that they continue doing this perpetually. So Krishna will look from your heart to see if you're actually chanting sincerely and whether you're hearing with taste. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochitaha Gyanayat Yasuvairagyam Gyanam Chaya Dahaitukam. When we engage in the service of Krishna without any material desire, simply to please the Lord, then knowledge and renunciation come naturally. So, therefore, we need to hear this on a regular basis. Just like, let's say, a child is born in China. In 5 years, that child will learn to speak Chinese. Of course, for us to learn Chinese now will be difficult. But the child, without knowing how to read Chinese, without knowing how to write Chinese, without having gone to school, will learn how to speak Chinese in 5 years simply by Shravanam and Kirtanam. This is the way to learn. You don't learn by studying. Some people think, I have to study. No, you learn by hearing very carefully. Shushu soho sadadanyasya vasudeva kataruchi syan mahat sevaya vipra punya tirtani sevana. So when you hear shushu soho with faith and attention, then what happens? Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. We develop a taste for hearing Krishna Katha. And this is the most pious activity. Stanye statak srutigatan tanavan manobhir. When Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy were speaking together, Lord Chaitanya said, tell me something. What's the best way to be Krishna conscious? It's only when Ramananda Roy said, you stay in your position, whatever it may be. Yatak parvati bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam. Swakarmana tamabhyacha siddhim vindati manava. Any man who worships Krishna, regardless of what their activity is, can attain perfection in this life simply by worshiping the Lord from their position. So Lord Chaitanya approved the statement of Lord Brahma that any person who stays in their position but goes on regularly hearing and chanting about the Lord, this is the best way. So people walk into this temple. Already the Varnas exist in society, imperfectly, but they exist. So most people have a Varna. They're earning money in some hopefully honest way. But they don't have proper ashrama. And their Varna can be improved. So what we're doing here is called Daiva Varnashram. We're helping people improve their Varna and perfect themselves through the ashrama system. This is called Daiva Varnashram, God-centered Varnashram. Just like Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, Yagya Puruvacha. So he said, in the beginning of time, I sent forth generations of men and demigods, and I gave them sacrifices to perform for Vishnu, the accomplishment of which will confer all desirable things to people to live peacefully, happily, prosperously, and at the end of life, come back to Godhead. So this is our program. This is what Srila Prabhupada has given us. We're here to help people organize society, organize their personal lives in proper varna and proper ashrama so they can go back to Godhead at the end of life and at the same time live a happy life. Isn't that what people want? They want to live a happy life. They want to have prosperity. They want to have peace. This is the only way they can do it. They don't do it by government programs. They do it by Daiva Varnashram, Krishna consciousness. And that's what we're teaching. Sahayagya Puravacha Pajapati. Ananya Parsavistvadvam Esavostvista Kamaduk. So you can have everything desirable simply by chanting Hare Krishna and taking prasadam regularly and having faith in prasadam and the holy name and dancing. This dancing is scientific. If you dance in front of Krishna with a pure heart, He's attracted to you. If you chant the holy name with a pure intention, He's attracted to you. He will protect you. Just like when Hanuman came back from Lanka and he gave Ram information about Sita, Ram said, Hanuman, no one has ever served me like you have. I don't feel capable of repaying you. Just tell me whatever you want, I'll give you. The only thing Hanuman said, he fell down at the feet of the Lord and he said, Tumani raksha karo, raksha karo, raksha karo. That's all he said. He asked for the protection of the Lord. And that's what happens when we chant Hare Krishna in this temple. And other people come and we teach them. The Lord will protect the devotee. In fact, 6 things happen when we chant Hare Krishna. Number 1, misery ends. Number 2, auspiciousness begins. Number 3, we become happy. Number 4, we're no longer interested in mukti, mukti, mukti. We don't care about mukti. Right? And number 5, we genuinely understand that we are fortunate, that this is saving our life, that Prabhupada gave us the most dearest gift that anyone could imagine. He's freed me from my previous karma so that I can engage in devotional service. Unless we're free from our previous karma, we cannot engage in devotional service. Yamaraj won't let you. But when you're free, you can engage in Krishna's service. And then number 6, we realize this is the only way we can attract Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says, Naham tistami vaikunte yoginam hridayesuya yatra gayanti mad bhakta tatra tistami narada. He said, Hey Narada, I'm not in Vaikuntha. I'm not in the heart of the yogis. But I am there where my devotees chant my name sincerely. So, if we want to be with Krishna, if we want to be able to remember Krishna, especially at the moment of death, antakali chamam eva smaran mukva kalevaram saprayati samad bhakta yatinasti samsaya. If you can remember Krishna antakale, at the end of life, you'll definitely go back to Godhead. And then Krishna says, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tiyajat ante kalevaram tam tam ivaita konteya sadatad bhava bhavita. Whatever you think of at the moment of death, that's what you will attain. Just like there was one man in Calcutta, he was a crorepati. He had made all his money by purchasing Calcutta steel stock. So at the end of his life, he was on his deathbed and all his sons were around him and they were all saying, Pitaji, Pitaji, don't die, we love you. But Pitaji was dying. And then he said, So he was motioning. He was going to give his last words, his Mahavaikya. This was on a Sunday night. And he said, Monday morning, buy Calcutta steel. Buy Calcutta steel stock. Monday, next day was Monday, right? He said, tomorrow morning, buy Calcutta steel stock. That was his last thought. Now, where do you think Pitaji went? Where do you think he went? He took birth in Calcutta steel as a rat to continue his association with Calcutta steel. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam. Whatever you think of at the moment of death, that's what you will achieve in the next life. So we must train ourselves right now, not at the moment of death. Even Ajamil was training himself, but it was Agyata Sukriti. He didn't know the value of the holy name. He just named his son Narayana. But all day long he said, Narayana, come here. Narayana, come, take prasadam. Narayana, let's go for a walk. Narayana, how are you? You know, he was saying Narayana. He was chanting the holy name, but without a material desire. He was not thinking, buy Calcutta stock, Calcutta steel stock. That's nonsense. At least he was saying the name of Narayana. And we have been given the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Anya bilasita sunyam, Ganakarmari anavritam, Anakulyana Krishna Nasilanam, Bhaktir Uttamam. We have been given this name by Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnava Acharyas, and especially Lord Chaitanya, to engage in Sudha Bhakti, pure devotion. Savai Pumsa Paro Dharmo Jato Bhakti Rahoksache, Ahaitakiya Patihata Yayatma Suprasiddhati. This is for Paro Dharma, transcendental Dharma, not mundane Dharma. Mundane Dharma is doing pujas for self-interest. Transcendental Dharma is doing Harinam Sankirtan to spread the glories of the holy name. So, if we perform devotional service without a material purpose or objective, not asking for anything in return, only to please Krishna, and without any speculation, philosophical speculation, then the holy name works, and you will be graduated very quickly to the level of Sudha Bhakta, pure devotion to the Lord. This is unbelievable mercy. Think about this carefully. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatparat vena nirmalam hishikena hishikesa sevanam bhaktir uttamam. Uttama bhakti is when we're free of all upadis. What are the upadis? I am Uttar Pradeshi, I am Punjabi, I am Gohati, I am Bengali, I am this, I am that. These are upadis. They're material designations related to the body. They have nothing to do with the soul. They are illusory. It's actually Maya. What does Maya mean? Maya or illusion is something that never existed, but still you think it's true. It has never existed. Like the egg of a horse has never existed, but because you can say the words, you think it might be true. You say. It's like I met one student in America, and I said, what do you want to be? He said, I want to work at Microsoft and be a computer engineer. I said, oh, very good. I said, what are you doing to get that job? He said, I'm smoking marijuana 15 hours a day. Smoking ganja? How will that help you get a job in Microsoft? He said, oh, because I was told that 3/4 of the engineers in Microsoft smoke ganja. I said, how do you know that? You have not experimented. You haven't done any survey. You don't know it. See, it's all Maya. It's something that never existed, but he believes it's true. And therefore, he's spending his life, basing his whole life on that illusion. Just like I might base my whole life on the illusion that I am American. But I'm not American. In fact, where I live in America, 500 years ago, it was not America. It was not the United States. It belonged to Russia. And 500 years from now, that same land might belong to Allahu Akbar. So if I attach importance to the land of birth and my family and mundane rituals and going to holy places just to take a bath, then that's called Maya. That's not the purpose of going to holy places. And the purpose of life is not to worship the place I was born or worship my body. The purpose is to worship Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna. So therefore, mogasya moga karmano moga cheta moga karma vicheta saha rakshasim asurim bhavam prakritim mohitim shrita. People who are bewildered, they're attracted by demoniac concepts and atheistic views. In that deluded condition of life, their hopes for liberation, mukti, and their materialistic activities for material benefit, and their culture of knowledge, all are defeated. Just like the Calcutta steel man. Everything was defeated. Instead of chanting Hare Krishna at the moment of death, he said, buy Calcutta steel stock. Everything he did was defeated. Therefore, we should become serious about this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and this Krishna consciousness. If we do that, then we will rise above this illusion. Trayagunya Vishaya Veda Nistragunya Bhavarjana Nirdvandva Nityasattvasto Niryoga Shema Atmavan. Krishna tells Arjuna the 3 Vedas, the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, they're simply concerned with the 3 modes of material nature. Therefore, Arjuna, Nistraigunya Bhavarjana, rise above the Vedas, become free of Nirdvando Nityasattvasto, become free of duality, happiness and distress, riches and poverty, fame and infamy. And therefore, you rise above these things, these dualities, and these anxieties for gain and safety, yoga and shema. This is what everyone's worried about. They want, let's say you don't have any money, you're worried about having money. Let's say you have money, you're worried about losing money. Both ways you're worried. You don't have money, you're worried. You have money, you're worried. So who is not worried? Only the devotee, because he knows, Tumhare raksha karo, Krishna is going to protect him. He's not afraid. Therefore, he's not worried about yoga and shema. Actually, yoga means, in another context, Ananya chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasati tesam nityabhyuktanam yoga shemam vahamyaham. Krishna says, those who are engaged in my service, always thinking of me, I provide what they lack and preserve what they have. So, provide what we lack. What do we lack? Lack Krishna consciousness. We don't lack 500 rupees at the end of the month. We're lacking Krishna consciousness. That's what we're lacking, because everything else is present in the world except Krishna consciousness. And what do we have? If we become Krishna conscious, Krishna will protect us from falling down. So those are the 2 things, yoga and shema. But on a lower level, for the materialist, yoga means money. And shema means they're afraid of losing the money, therefore they have life insurance, they have car insurance, they have this insurance and that insurance. The only insurance that works is Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna is guaranteeing you, Tasmat sarve sukalesu, mam anusmara yudhyacha, maya arpita manobudhir, mam ivaisasya samsaya. Therefore, Arjuna, at all times, think of me and do your duty. With your mind and intelligence fixed on me, I guarantee you, you'll come back to me. So this is what we should believe, Krishna's guarantee, Krishna's promise. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskru. Mam evaisasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. Always think of me, Arjuna, become my devotee, worship me, and offer all your homage and love to me. If you do this, you become dear to me, and I promise you, Satyam Te, I promise you, you'll come back to me. Gaura Premanandi Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj ki jai. Harinama Sankirtana ki jai. Gaura Premanandi Haribol.
Hare Krishna. One question, Prabhuji. Thank you for a very nice lecture. One question is there. Prabhupada is mentioning, because at the time of death, he chanted the holy name of Narayana.
So, say that again? I didn't hear you.
Because Prabhupada says in the lecture, Ajamil was cleansed of all sinful activity because at the time of death, he chanted the holy name of Narayana. So, then Prabhupada says, in lifetime also, once chanting cleanses the all sinful activities. Here Prabhupada says, because at the time of death, so how to understand? Ajamila chanted at the time of death the holy name Narayana, then he was cleansed of all sinful activities, or in lifetime he was chanting?
All his life, not all, but after he had that son, and he named him Narayana, he was chanting the name of Narayana. But he was not chanting, he was a sinful man, but he did not know anything about the holy name. Therefore, every time he said Narayana, there was no material interest. He was just saying the name, genuinely. Narayana, come here. Narayana, how are you? Narayana, I love you. So, he did not commit any sin. But the seventh offense, Namnad Balad, Yashahi Papa, yeah. That offense is, you know the glories of the holy name. You still commit sin, but you think you can purify the sin by chanting Hare Krishna. So there's a difference. He didn't know anything about the holy name, but he was simply saying Narayana without any motive. Whereas the devotee who knows the glories of the holy name and who sins and thinks that they can purify it by chanting Hare Krishna, they're committing a major offense. Now at the moment of death, he simply called the name of his son. And the holy name acted, purified him completely. Yamadutas couldn't understand this. Because externally, this man was a papi. He was a sinful. They thought, we're going to take him. But because the holy name acted, the Yamadutas, the Vishnudutas stopped him and said, this is injustice. Because this man is purified of all his sins by saying the name even once, sincerely. They said, well, he didn't mean Narayana. He said, it doesn't matter. He said the name. The name itself is non-different than Narayana. Binatvam namanamine, you say. Because it's non-different than Narayana, it acted. Therefore, internally he was purified. And therefore he deserved the second chance. He deserved the second chance. Therefore he was brought back from death. And he went to Haridwar and he continued Krishna consciousness there. And then he went back to Godhead. So do you understand the difference between the devotee who knows the power of the holy name but is trying to use it to purify his sins, and then that's an excuse to continue sinning more and chanting more, or the sinner who doesn't know anything but simply repeats the name without any motive and without any subterfuge, so any trick, I'll chant and purify it. So therefore, in the case of the sinner who said the name without any material motive, it acted. In the case of the devotee who willfully sins, not accidentally, but willfully sins, and then tries to purify it, he's the greatest offender. Hare Krishna. However, even if one does not chant purely as a devotee, they should never stop chanting. Not that, I'm sinning and chanting, so I should stop chanting. No, they should never stop. But they should take advice how to purify their intentions.
Nirantaraj, okay? You have question?
Thank you very much. It's very relevant nowadays. And I just as a small comment, Krishna tells to Uddhava in the 11th canto that well, my devotee, even going through so many difficulties, and he understands that sense gratification is very bad, still he has to continue to do his service and chant my names. In this way he can slowly can purify himself.
Yes.
It's also encouragement point, which Krishna still gives some space. All right, if you just that much useless fellow, but still you don't lament, you still understand that this is very bad, but continue. But my question actually was interesting, because some people, they say, you people, Hare Krishna, very dangerous. Because once we become to know, I don't want this book, because once I know, so I have to follow that. And if I'm not able to follow, then better to be sinful than aparadhi. So how to conciliate, how to make this people to understand, don't be afraid. Because they say, well, I don't know, I'm ignorant fool. That's why even I'm so weak, it's less punishment for me if I will be knowing that and not be able to follow that. So, because knowledge brings great responsibility, and it rather can be discouraging. That's why Krishna consciousness is, even for many devotees, quite discouraging, because, well, I'm so weak, but I had this experience. How to do in this situation, how to convince and inspire them.
Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastrakai. Sadhu Sangha, Lava Mantra, Sarva, Sadhu Siddhihai, right? So, if you chant, even if you're making mistakes, in the association of devotees, you will be helped. Chant alone, you do nirjana, tapasya. Nobody is there to help you. Then you become a cheater. Chant in the association of devotees, and you're on a level of non-basa, just the awakening of understanding. Chanting, even you committing sins. So Ajamila was committing sins, but he was chanting on a level of non-basa, the awakening of the holy name. He became purified. If you chant in the association of devotees, they will help you overcome your weaknesses. Therefore, we should always stay in the association of good devotees, not weak devotees, but good devotees, and get advice. What is the question that a devotee asks? Maharaj, how can I make spiritual advancement? I'm chanting, but I know I'm still committing offenses. What can I do? These are important questions that we have to ask, and you will get the answer. The devotee will get the answer and help. Okay, Prabhuji, you sit next to me, we chant together, and we'll live together for some time. I'll watch you, you watch me, we'll help each other. Right? That's the advantage of Sadhu Sangha. Without Sadhu Sangha, there's no control. One will become addicted to bad habits, even though they're chanting Hare Krishna. So people living outside, they say, look, I'm not sincere, therefore I'm not going to chant Hare Krishna. That's not being sincere. That's cheating. Because Krishna says at all times one should chant, and one should never give up, even if they're sinful. But one should try and get help to overcome their sinful tendencies by regular hearing and associating with devotees and engaging in devotional service and taking prasadam and bowing down in front of the deities. All these things are purifying. And gradually, not overnight, but gradually they'll become purified and they'll give up the cheating propensity of sinning and chanting. That's the only way. I don't know any other answer. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry it went a little long. Hare Krishna. All glories to the Prabhupada.